Did you hear about this story? There was this famous musician, a guy who got these messages from a fan. Apparently the fan said she was in love with him, and he actually agreed to get married to her, but then they broke it off in less than a month. Crazy, right? Celebrity culture these days. Oh, did I say these days? I meant 1877. That famous musician, Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky. His story kind of reminds me of the ill-fated marriage between Kim Kardashian and Kris Humphries. Who would have thought? Follow me for a second. We tend to think of life today as being very different from life in other periods of history. Right? And technology has definitely changed, and in turn, our relationships with people have changed. Now, think about our relationship to musical celebrities.
Right now, you can literally DM your favorite artist and be like, hey, I just wanted to say that I love your music. Also, would you like to go out sometime? That would be a little crazy, but hey, it's definitely worked for people. Back in the late 1800s, they had good old-fashioned letters. And in 1877, Antonina Ivanovna Milyakova sent a flurry of love letters to our good friend, Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky. Antonina had briefly been a student at the Moscow Music Conservatory where Tchaikovsky taught. She only attended the school for a year or two, but that was all it took. Antonina started really getting into Pyotr, and she wrote him a bunch of fan mail. By 1877, she wrote him an outright confession of love, even though her and Tchaikovsky hadn't spoken in years. Now, Pyotr gets this letter from a woman he barely remembers right when he's in the middle of composing two huge pieces of music, his opera, Eugene Onegin, and his Fourth Symphony. Let's hold on Eugene Onegin.
The opera plotline TLDR is basically that a man rejects the love of a younger woman and spends the rest of his life resigned to tragedy and unfulfilled happiness. It's a real uplifting opera.
Tchaikovsky starts comparing the plot of the opera to his own life. He's like, now I'm getting this love letter from this woman. What's gonna happen if I say no to her? Will I be destined for a sad life ahead? I guess I better go along with this relationship then.
So that's one reason for Pyotr to get married to Antonina. There's another big one. Just as Tchaikovsky's career is taking off, rumors about his sexuality begin swirling around Moscow. People were really preoccupied with this, apparently. As we know today, after looking at Tchaikovsky's letters, he was gay. Back then, he really wanted to deflect from that. As you might imagine, late 1800s Russia, really late 1800s anywhere, not the safest time and place to come out.
Pyotr and Antonina exchange some more letters, and Pyotr finally agrees to marry Antonina, promising his brotherly love to her. Yeah, that's not a red flag at all for a budding new marriage. And then, after just 3 weeks, Tchaikovsky throws in the towel. He runs away from Moscow to his little sisters in Kiev and spends the summer of 1877 away from his bride. He then goes back to Moscow for a grand total of 11 days, runs away again, this time to St. Petersburg, and by some accounts, suffers a stress-induced coma that leaves him unconscious for 48 hours. He doesn't write music for another 6 months. So yeah, that's pretty bad. He eventually wakes up from that and separates from his wife, who continues to carry the name Antonina Ivanovna Tchaikovskaya. Tchaikovsky gets away from Russia, vacations in Venice, Italy, and finishes editing and orchestrating the Fourth Symphony.
That's a totally insane story. It's also totally true. And you thought I was done with Kim Kardashian and Kris Humphries. Nope.
Okay, Kim Kardashian, famous TV personality. Kris Humphries, famous basketball player. Both were fans of each other before they started their relationship. Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky, famous composer. Antonina, a big fan of his. Kim and Kris, married for 72 days. Antonina and Tchaik, around 30 days. Yikes. Kim and Kris, publicly married on E because who knows why, honestly. Tchaikovsky, publicly married to avoid suspicion of being gay. Another similarity between these two sets of people who lived 100 years apart, the aftermath of their separation was tough. Kim and Kris both experienced online and in-person harassment. Their relationship became something of a punchline for the public. Kris wrote this serious essay about how difficult it was to get constantly booed in NBA arenas because he was that guy that got married to Kim Kardashian. No doubt, ending a relationship like that is hard, no matter what anyone on the outside thinks. Tchaikovsky had real mental and physical health issues, stopped composing for almost 6 months, and never married again. Antonina Ivanovna Tchaikovskaya spent years hoping that her and Pyotr might reconcile. She eventually just chose to accept fate, and the 100 rubles a month pension Tchaikovsky agreed to give to her.
All right, I'll be real with you. The comparison isn't perfect. For example, I don't know about Kim and Kris, but Tchaikovsky has this serious reason for getting married. He was afraid of not being accepted by the society he was living in because he was gay. So those two situations are a little different. Why make the comparison at all? I want to get away from all the myth-making and the pageantry in classical music history. When you really think about it, are we that different from the people that lived 150 years ago? Because apparently, there's one universal truth about humanity: everyone loves a celebrity scandal. For better or for worse, Tchaikovsky was at the center of one because of his marriage. By looking at composers and the societies around them, in their time, the problems they faced, the relationships they built, the music they made and listened to, I think we'll find that those people lived lives not totally different from the ones we live today in times like these.